All right, so we're going to switch gears here. We're going to talk about pricing and support inside of AWS. This is going to talk about the different like support models, right? Different tools that you can use for budgeting and forecasting and whatnot. A little bit about the AWS free tier and some advantages of consolidated billing. And then we're going to talk about the simple monthly calculator and the AWS.calculator, or is it calculator? It's calculator.aws, sorry. And then kind of understanding like there's a marketplace where you can not only pick up third-party software, but you can also like pick up like things like, you know, WAF rules and stuff like that. So how can you pay and budget for AWS services, and where can you find like support and third-party software? So let's talk about pricing first. So just know that first of all, that AWS does have a free tier. And if you go out here and search for AWS free tier, it'll take you to a website which will allow you to figure out which of these is free, like for 12 months after the account is opened, and which of these is free forever. So for example, free for 12 months, you can run one virtual machine that is like a T2 micro, a T3 micro, right? For at least 1 month. Usually 1 month, by the way, is 24 times 31. So, you know, obviously doing the math there, but like it's usually about 722 hours, if I correctly, up to 750, depending on if it has 31 days versus 30. You can also run an RDS database. You can also, you know, put 5 gigabytes up into S3. And so these are things that are free just for the first 12 months after an account is open. Other things are always free. Running a DynamoDB table at 25 gigabytes of storage with 25 provisioned read and write capacity. That's free for a long time, forever, basically. Running 1 million Lambdas, 1 million SNSs, CloudFront to like 1 terabyte worth of transfer. There's a bunch of free stuff that's like free forever. I don't even know what Repost is. Migration Evaluator. I don't even know what that is, actually. I don't think I've ever seen the Migration Evaluator before. The Application Migration Service, I do know. Bracket, which is Amazon's quantum computing service. Server migration service, service catalog, CloudTrail, which we just talked about, CloudFormation. Yeah, there's a bunch of good stuff in here. Control Tower is always free. That's good. Good. So anyway, just know that there's a free tier here. If you do not have your own AWS account, first of all, I highly recommend it. Second of all, do not use your corporate email to create it. Most corporations will trigger some kind of security alert if you decide to use your corporate email to open an account. So just you've been warned, right? Especially if you work for a consulting company who will remain unnamed. So that's the free tier. What does it take to create an account? Well, you know, it just really requires you to just, you know, come up here to account sign up and you just create your own free account. Now it will require you to have an email address. You have to put a credit card on it. Now I'm already logged into the console, but first of all, if I switch my role back, actually, you know what? Let me just revert it. So took my role off. If I sign out, by the way, and let's say I want to sign into the console, but I actually want to create an account. Oh, I don't think I can do that here, actually. Here it is. Create a new AWS account. You just click on that. And you have to have a unique email address. So just so you know, I tend to use the plus sign trick. If you're not familiar with this, if you're using like a Gmail or Yahoo or any of the MSN, any of the Microsoft services, you can put a plus sign after your actual name and then add in whatever you want. And it will still go to your ITM, like in my case, it'll go to my IT Amazonian account, but to them, it'll look like a different email address. It's actually just me. You can usually sign up with up to 10 accounts against a single phone number. So it's okay. Another way to do this, by the way, is just create an account and just create a vending machine, which allows you to create sub accounts basically that belong to your master kind of like primary organization. So just know I highly recommend that you do this, that you create at least your own free tier account. Please do not leave resources running. Amazon does not prevent you from like hurting yourself financially. So make sure that you set up budgets and alerts. It's not that hard to do. It's actually a great exercise, but just be aware that, you know, I've never even come close to hurting myself, but I've heard of people like doing stuff and letting it run for like 60 days and they owe like $500 or something. It's like, don't do that. Be smart about it. Now, the free tier categories, as you saw, were either 12 months free, always free. There were some trials in there, which we didn't really click on. So just know, create your own account. It'll be fun. Now, Amazon will give you discounts when you like reserve, right? When you buy reservations, but don't be fooled. Reservations are not just for EC2 instances. There are reservations for all kinds of services. Also know that the more you buy, the less it will cost per unit. I hate stuff like this in the real world. Amazon does this because, you know, if you've got 10 accounts and each is using 10 terabytes, but together they bill as a single 10 terabyte unit, Amazon will discount you the more you use. And so you can actually get volume discounts by combining your bill into one big bill. They love that because then it's also less for them to process. Otherwise, you're going to pay as you go for resources that are super disposable. Now, if you ever need to figure out how something is going to cost, there's two ways to do it. You can go to the AWS Simple Monthly Calculator, which is probably the most popular and oldest way to do it. They are trying to deprecate it, but they just can't get to it. So for example, let's say we're in S3. We want to know how much a terabyte of S3 storage is going to cost them. Well, we look up here and guess what? It costs $23.44 a month in, God, what was that? Is that US East? Yeah, US East. By the way, if you want to see the price difference, let's say that was $23.44. Let's say we switch over to California. We do a terabyte storage. Notice that instead of being $23.44 in California, it's $26.50. That's an increase, by the way, of $3.06. That's more than 10%, by the way. So remember earlier I was telling you that California was more expensive than the other US regions? You just saw it in action, and that's just for S3. It's also true for all the other services as well. Okay. So, excuse me. What is this newer version of the S3 calculator? What is this? Oh, cheaters. That's funny. The other way to do that is not just use the simple monthly calculator. You can also use what's called calculator.aws. Did I just get hiccups again? That's amazing. So with the basically calculator.aws, what happens is you're going to create estimates. And with these estimates, you're going to stack a bunch of services in there. Let's say it's EC2. You configure what you're looking for. For example, if you want to run a Windows operating system, Windows server, and let's say that you want to run a T3 medium. Not a big box, by the way, 2 CPUs, 4 gigs of RAM. You want 10 of them. This is so good. And you want to actually run them for a year, but you don't want to put any money down up front. So you're going to use a standard reserve instance. You're going to make sure that each of them has 30 gigs of storage on it per month. But you know what? We're going to up that because we want to make sure they have 50. And we're just going to use GP3, which is the latest storage, right? We're not going to change anything else. So we're going to add this to our estimate, and currently it's going to cost us about $364 a month or $4,000 a year. I can add other services to this. So if I want to add S3, I could say, look, I need standard, and I'm going to store about 1 terabyte per month. I expect about 10,000 requests as far as changes and about 100,000 reads, so a 10-to-1 ratio. I'm not going to use select, but you know what I'm going to do is that I'm going to do some, you know, let's say 100 gigabytes It's per month of growth, and I'm going to transfer to CloudFront because I got some outward bound resources. Let's say it's another 100 gigabytes, right? I'm going to add this to my estimate, and it looks like it just raised it by $23. That's it. So you can actually build estimates in Calculator.aws. I don't think this is as intuitive or easy to use as a simple monthly calculator, but it's better arranged, and it's got all the services in it. Whereas the simple monthly calculator does not have all the services in it. So easier to use, quicker, but the calculator is this pricing calculator is a little bit more comprehensive. So just know that's the two ways you can do costing: is the simple monthly calculator or calculator.aws. Here's the pricing calculator, by the way. We did a quick estimate. We could have done something more advanced. So just know you've got options. Do note that for things like Lambda, you only pay for what you use and the size of what you're using, right? You can also use compute savings plans to save. Here's an example where Lambda is charging you by the number of requests, but also how long they ran for. So there's different dimensions to billing. My recommendation is, if you don't know how a service bills, you can read the documentation, but you can also just go to calculator.aws and see what questions it asks you. It's a better way to figure it out. If you're doing EC2, by the way, again, I would go to calculator.aws, and I would visit the site and just see what questions is it asking you. How many instances? Do they have storage attached? What's the network transfer? They're asking you a bunch of questions. That's how you can do cost estimates. Let's see. This is an example of how the service charge is going to show up on your bill. This is for EC2. Notice that the load balancer is charging there for 268 hours. So in this case, it was under the free tier. S3 pricing is based on like storage and request and data transfer and that kind of thing. This doesn't show up, by the way, on the Cloud Practitioner exam. It does show up a lot under like the Solutions Architect Associates. Here's some example charges for S3. Now, one thing to note is that if you ever need to get quickly into the stuff, besides, I've got hiccups. Isn't that entertaining? Bear with me 1 second. Let's see. All right, so if you click on your username and you're logged in, you can always get to the billing dashboard really quickly. This billing dashboard, by the way, Amazon has made huge strides in making this like super accessible to people, because previously it was kind of a little bit of a dumpster fire, frankly. But like if you click on your bill detail, you can actually get breakdowns by region. Like I'm only running Amplify in US East, right? I've only got CloudTrail here running in US East, West, and then Canada. Here, CloudWatch is only running in US East, North Virginia, and US East, Ohio, right? So you can actually see like all the different pieces. That's just the billing detail. If we go back to the billing dashboard, we can see things like Cost Explorer, which is a great little tool that will allow you to explore costs across your entire account. By the way, you can actually get Cost Explorer to segment by linked account, segment by service. Let me click on Cost Explorer really quick, because this is, here it is, right? So for example, if I had any linked accounts, I can actually create exclusions here. Here it's breaking down everything by service. I can download this as a CSV file. So like, for example, it looks like I got a huge data transfer credit. Not sure why. There's a big S3 expenditure. Here's another one. But for the most part, most of what I do in the demo account falls under the free tier. So I don't actually get charged for it. You can also look at different reports. Like, for example, if you want daily costs or expenditures in the marketplace, you can actually click on these to see like exactly what these look like. So you can click on them, by the way, and either create a new report, duplicate them, download them, do all kinds of good stuff. So this allows you, we'll see, like, for example, hey, whoa, what's happening here? And by the way, Cost Explorer, if it has historical data, will try to forecast as well. This is also, by the way, where you'll find your savings plans and your reservations, if you've made any. And then you can like detect, for example, cost anomalies where it's like, hey, what's going on here? Why are there deviations in my spend? Why are there deviations in CloudTrail? I did those, by the way, so I knew what those were, right? And then if you have any right sizing recommendations, like I've got stuff running that shouldn't be running, notice I don't have anything because I'm pretty good about cleaning my accounts. And that's all, by the way, found. You can find this from the billing dashboard inside your account. There's other things like the costage and usage report, which, by the way, will give you like the 1/100,000th of a penny. So that's a great report to be aware of. You can, by the way, export that and import it into your favorite analysis tool. Go to town on it. This is also where you can set budgets. And I want you to see that in my account, I actually have budgets set. So I'm not like, I get alerted if I spend more than a certain amount on a per service basis. My overall budget will notify me if I exceed $100 a month, which is what I want. So this is all in the billing dashboard. There's a bunch of really great stuff here. The main thing for you to remember is that if you want super detailed information that you can download, export, and ingest, that's going to be the cost and usage report. If you want to take a look at your billing profile and maybe do some forecasting, that's going to be Cost Explorer. If you want to set some limits on your account and get notified if you cross those thresholds, that's going to be budgets. So just know that those three major tools are probably the most important things here. Look at that timing. All right, let's do a quick knowledge check. The AWS free tier is going to offer some services for free to customers for a certain time period. What is that time period? Good. So it looks like, yeah, 12 months, right? That's the time period. Perfect. Okay, so let's talk a little bit then beyond billing and beyond the free tier. Let's talk about consolidated billing. So when you take a bunch of accounts and you stick them inside of an AWS organization, what you're doing is you're agreeing that there's going to be one payer for the account. This was an old feature that Amazon came out with a while back called consolidated billing, but they just made it part of organizations. So consolidated billing is the ability to receive a single bill across a bunch of accounts, and it looks something like this. Now, what happens is that you can share savings across an account by getting volume discounts. So here, by example, we're spending about $20 a month in each of the accounts, right? But they're getting billed separately. By aggregating everything up, what ends up happening is that your total charges for the account now exceed a certain threshold. So for example, if I'm using 2 terabytes in one account, 5 terabytes in another, and 7 terabytes in another, once you cross the 10 terabyte of data with S3, Amazon makes the cost per gigabyte cheaper. So notice they transferred 2 terabytes, 5 terabytes, and 7 terabytes here. In taken by itself, none of those cross 10 terabytes. But when you add a consolidated account, it now makes it so that this is 14 terabytes of data transfer for S3, which now means that you're going to get a volume discount because you crossed the 10 terabyte threshold. So 14 terabytes now means that you've now achieved the above the 10 terabyte threshold. So now things are cheaper for you. So that 4 terabytes is going to be cheaper than the previous 10 terabytes. Now, while we shouldn't strive to like spend more so we can save more, I think that's silly. I remember consolidating accounts for 700 accounts and the company saving $7 million a year. So I know I kind of make fun of it because I don't like people to spend money or to save money, but consolidation from a billing standpoint can actually save tremendous amounts of money for an enterprise. So that's consolidated billing. Other things to note is that we talked about budgets already. This allows you to set limits, to get notified. By the way, you can set hard limits now. I think I haven't done it, but I just saw like a couple months ago, they came out with the ability to set hard limits so that services won't launch if you cross your threshold, which that's good. Actually, we're getting there. AWS, it's better, right? And then we talked a little bit about Cost Explorer, which will allow you to see your spend across different services or by type. So for example, here they're showing you how much money you spent on T2 micros versus M3 larges. This looks like an older report, like a 2018, 2019 report. So just know Cost Explorer, budgets, the cost usage and the cost and usage reports. What else was there? Budgets. Oh, there was the billing detail. Those are all very useful inside the billing console. All right, last but not least, let's talk about support plans. So Amazon has, well, now there's 5, but one is a variation of the other. So there's actually still, I think, 4 from my perspective. So they have basic support that's free to all customers. But if you want to pay, you can get a developer plan, a business plan, or enterprise plan. I cannot tell you enough. Please read the fine print on these because they usually charge you either a minimum amount or a percentage of your total spend per month. So obviously, like with anything, don't just sign up with it blindly. Take a look. Okay. One thing that is worth noting is that from business to enterprise, because there's actually now 2 enterprise. There's an enterprise starter and there's a standard enterprise. You get all of the trusted advisor checks. In addition, when you sign up for enterprise, you get a dedicated technical account manager, which I've had that twice in my career. And I got to tell you, it's one of the greatest experiences I've had. It reminded me of IBM in the old days. The old days. When is the old days? Like mid 2000s or something. But anyway, I had this decade. Well, wait, we're in a new decade. So maybe the previous decade. But I had enterprise for the latter part of the 2010s. And I got to tell you, twice. And it was spectacular. So I'm usually not that impressed with support, but this was really good. Get a TAM when you get an enterprise plan. So just something to keep in mind. Okay. So out of basic, developer, business, enterprise, which of these is the lowest cost AWS support plan that includes all of the AWS trusted advisor checks? So out of basic, developer, business, and enterprise, business is the one that will give you all of the trusted advisor checks. So business or enterprise. So that plan or above will actually get you all the trusted advisor checks. It lets you know whether you're following best practices for your account. Okay, let's talk a little bit about the marketplace. So just know that Amazon has a marketplace. where you can actually sign up for subscriptions. Think of this as like a digital catalog where you can find, deploy, and test software. So let's say you're a big fan of, wait, I don't think I have any subscriptions, so there shouldn't be anything here, but let's discover products instead. That's funny. Let's say you're a big fan of TIBCO, which I don't think I've ever run TIBCO in my entire life. I just know about it, right? Let's say that you are a big fan of Kafka. There's Kafka. Let's say you love MongoDB because you want to be web scale. I'm just kind of kidding there. Actually, MongoDB is a good product. There's Atlas, right, which is pay as you go. Let's say you're a big fan of Kubernetes. Kong for Kubernetes, Sandbox, Guacamole Bastion host. Interesting. Anyway, you can find pretty much any software that you're looking for here. What did I saw the other day? I was like, do they have OrientDB? Is that even here? Man, look at that. So funny. OrientDB. Yep. So the marketplace basically allows you to find stuff. What about WAF rules? There's some F5 rules for the WAF, right? The best OWASP exploits. You know, if you're like a big fan of Fortinet, so you can find managed rules for WAF Classic, right? So again, this is a way for you to bring your favorite third-party vendor into your account. Be aware that not only will you pay for the resources this thing starts, but you're going to pay for a subscription. It's all going to show up on your AWS bill. You're not going to be billed separately. It's going to hide itself in your AWS bill. So please be mindful of what you think the costs are going to be. Probably want to have a relationship with the vendor before you just say yes to this. And I would pay attention to the ratings because some products work better than others. So that's the marketplace. Digital catalog provides you access to third-party stuff. Just be aware, it's going to start resources and you're going to have a subscription. So IoT, security, favorite streaming software, favorite databases, whatever it is. Yeah, workbenches of all various types. Okay, let's do a knowledge check. What action can a customer perform with consolidated billing? What was that whole example that I gave earlier? What was the purpose of that? Figuring out the 2 terabyte, the 5 terabyte, and the 7 terabyte. Well, why did we do that? What were we trying to go for there? That's right, Gracie. We were trying to combine usage across accounts so we could receive volume discounts. That was one of the benefits of consolidated billing. There's others, by the way. For example, if you buy a reservation at the management account level, it can apply to all of your accounts. That can be cool. All right, which of the pricing tools is used to visualize, understand, and manage AWS costs and usage over time, both in the past and in the future? Good. Yeah. I see a couple of you put Cost Explorer. Remember, that's the only tool that will do forecasting, but only if it has historical data. If you don't have historical data, then you have to go create an estimate. An estimate happens at calculator.aws. Okay. Which of these tools can cause a customer to receive an alert if their service usage exceeds a defined threshold? Like, I want to know when I spend more than $100 a month in my account, where did you see me set that up at? That's right, budgets. There we go. Yeah, so budgets is where you set up those thresholds, and you can set it by service. You can set it by usage and reservations, right? So you can, there's other like different dimensions to budgets. All right, company wants to receive support from a TAM. They want a TAM. Which support plan do you have to buy in order to get access to a TAM? Yeah, you have to pay money for that, right? So if you want a TAM, you're gonna have to pay the most expensive, which is enterprise, which I believe is like a minimum of $15,000 a month, or a percentage, a pretty large percentage of your AWS. I say pretty large, it's probably like 15% or something. So, but that's the enterprise. Okay, last but not least, which service or resource is used to find third-party software that runs on AWS? So if you're looking for Fortinet, or you're looking for Kafka, or you're looking for MongoDB, where are you going to go? Now, I will point out, by the way, that there is a managed Kafka service and there is a MongoDB service on AWS, but that's if you don't want to use those and you want something a little more closer to the vendor, to the marketplace. Good. All right. So in this module, we learned about the free tier, which allows you to get some things for free and some for 12 months. We talked about consolidated billing and volume discount. I showed you the billing detail, showed you Cost Explorer, talked about budgets, talked about the cost and usage report. We talked about AWS.calculator and the simple monthly calculator, and then also about the various support plans and about the marketplace pieces, right, that you can pick up third-party software for. Okay. Questions of any type?